The Tattooed Blonde. Interior, Lackerby Mental Health Services Building. John's office, day, present. Dennis sits across from John. A recording device with a lit red light sits on the coffee table between them.
That's how I started seeing you.
I remember. And we made some great progress up until my personal situation, didn't we?
Yes, for a while.
What do you mean?
It got so that I revered you. I still do, actually, but Sharon, on the other hand...
Right. You obviously heard a lot about the upset in our lives.
Yes, but I didn't know anything back then.
I
I thought you were the perfect couple. You're so good at what you do, kind, sincere, really caring. And having this drop-dead beautiful wife, you two became my models for the perfect marriage.
I'm sorry. Things aren't always what they...
Dennis's voice takes on an escalating edge from this point on.
No, they aren't. Oh, but how I wanted what you had. I saw you two one day. She stopped by the office here just before my appointment. It was a brief visit, but you two kissed, and the way you held her for that moment, I could read into it. The sex you were going to have later.
Sure. But that was then. Blush of still being newly married.
I could only think that you deserved that. You had been so good to me, helping me straighten out my problems, not making fun of me.
John puts a hand to his chin as if he's dreading what he'll learn next.
I didn't really know her as well as I thought.
You're damn right you didn't know her.
John is visibly startled by Dennis's emphatic tone.
I found that out the day she was with Sal, the tattoo artist.
You saw them together?
Not exactly. I heard them together. It spoiled the perfect image I had.
Where was this?
At his shop before he moved away.
John moves forward in his seat and glances down at the red light on the digital recorder.
Tell me about it.
I spotted Sharon on the street downtown one day, as I was coming home from work. She looked as hot as ever. I hope you don't mind me saying so, now that you two aren't together anymore.
John swallows hard.
It's all right. Go ahead.
I saw her duck into Sal's shop, so I headed that way. When I got there, I looked through the window, nobody in sight, so I opened the door just enough to hear inside.
And?
I heard what you might think. Sexy talk. Giggling, moaning, wet kissing sounds. Shh, somebody might hear us. They were keeping out of sight behind a partition. I was disgusted. All I could think was, how could she do that to you?
John straightens up in his chair.
I've survived all that, Dennis. I'm fine now. I'm happy.
Well, so was I when I noticed Sal had moved away. Figured you two still being together would resume your happy marriage, but it bothered me, staying in the back of my mind.
Dennis begins to appear more and more crazed.
Can I have a glass of water?
Later, Dennis gulps from a bottle of water, then picks up the shopping bag.
Hey, here, this is for you.
What's this?
See for yourself.
John glances into the bag. As he reaches in, he's suddenly stopped cold by what he sees. Sweat trickles down his face. He takes out a New York Giants sweatshirt, with a sales tag still attached, and glares at it in disbelief.
There's a new pair of sweatpants in there, too. Also, your running shorts and t-shirt that weren't ruined.
John drops the sweatshirt back into the bag, then drops the bag, too. He wipes perspiration from his brow.
You've got to explain this, Dennis.
Well, they were in your gym bag.
You took my gym bag.
Sorry, I didn't replace that, too. Blood got on it. Kind of expensive on a stock boy's income, you know. I'll owe it to you.
But Dennis, listen to me carefully. Did you kill Salman Gino?
Don't you want to know how I got your bag first?
Dennis sees John nervously glance down at the red light on the digital recorder.
I'm glad we're being recorded. This world should know about this.
John's face is totally flush, veins bulging on his forehead and neck. His voice has the intensity of a pressure cooker from this point on.
Okay. Tell me about it.
The day of his death, I was furious. I'd heard that Sal was back in town, and I was afraid he'd interfere with your marriage again. I was supposed to have a session with you, and I needed it badly, but I hadn't heard the voicemail that it had been canceled. So I...
Interior, Lackerby Mental Health Services Building. Late afternoon, flashback. Dennis, in a wet windbreaker, steps out of an elevator and looks around. Nobody is at the reception desk. Bewildered, he walks over to John's office door, opens it, and peers inside, where John sleeps on the recliner with his gym bag clearly in sight. Reception area. Perplexed, Dennis closes the door, takes out his cell phone and turns it on. There's a message on its screen saying, Lackerby Mental Health Services, missed call and voicemail. Back to reception area. Dennis listens to his voice message. Then, after a moment of thought, he opens the office door again, reaches in, and comes out holding the bag.
Why did you take it?
I thought if I couldn't have a session with you, at least I could wear your clothes and feel your vibe, your great stability of mind,
Restroom, moments later. Dennis changes into John's gym clothes and puts his clothes in the gym bag, except for the windbreaker, which he puts back on. Then he peeks out the door into the reception area, where he sees Amy, now at her desk, intensely focused on her computer. Dennis then comes quietly out of the restroom with the bag and walks quickly past her desk and around the corner to the elevators. Interior, John's office, day, present. John is up on his feet, pacing.
Is that when you went over to the motel?
No, I eventually drove over there in my shit of a car, but first I stopped at the B.J. Ryan's for a few beers to settle down.
Interior, B.J. Ryan's, Norwalk, Connecticut, late afternoon, flashback. Dennis sits at the bar with a beer and watches a baseball game on an overhead big screen TV.
It felt good. The beers and being all snug and cozy in your clothes.
Later, Dennis plunks some money down on the bar and gets up to leave.
Thanks.
Don't forget your jacket, pal.
Dennis turns back to the bar, grabs his windbreaker off a stool and tucks it under his arm.
Thanks again.
Exterior, B.J. Ryan's, night. The rain has temporarily stopped as Dennis gets into his beat-up old Geo Prism and tosses his windbreaker onto the passenger seat.
It was already dark, and by then my thought was to pay old Sal a visit and give him a piece of my mind,
Exterior, Post Road Traveler Motel, night. The Prism pulls into the parking lot. Dennis gets out and heads toward the motel.
But, it didn't go as I thought.
He walks the length of the structure past a row of doors until he stops, hearing voices inside the only lighted room. All the other rooms appear vacant. He then peers inside, through a slit in the curtains, and sees Sharon and Sal redressing after apparently having had sex. Interior motel room, night. The following conversation continually escalates in loudness.
Come on, beautiful. Get the divorce and move out west with me.
I told you this is our last time. It's been fun, but I'm planning on being with Dick.
What fun is that?
I'll have financial security.
Oh, screw financial security.
What, and live a hedonistic lifestyle? You're awfully hunky, but that I don't want.
Furious, Sal finishes dressing, yanking on a guinea tea. Sharon hasn't gotten past putting on her undergarments.
One hell of a thing to say to this dum-dum who helped set up your little deception with Dr. Dick.
So what? You were paid.
Sal suddenly lunges at her and clamps his hands around her neck.
If it ever got out what you and that shrink are up to.
Stop! I can't breathe.
Tell me you're going away with me.
No!
With his hands still tight around her neck, Sal throws her to the floor. Suddenly, there's a crash, and the outer door jamb splinters, Dennis bursting in. Sal is caught off guard as Dennis slams into him and takes him down. But Sal, a bull of a man too, breaks away. He quickly gets to his feet and kicks Dennis in the chest before he can fully get up. Dennis is staggered, but not done. Recovering, he charges Sal and backs him up into a wall. In the meantime, Sharon keeps an eye on the fight while she picks up her purse, removes a switchblade, and pops open its blade. As Dennis cocks a fist, about to throw a punch, Sal retaliates, kicking him in the groin. Dennis, the wind knocked out of him, slumps toward the ground. Sal then picks up a tattoo needle amongst his tattoo paraphernalia. On his knees, he grabs Dennis by the hair with one hand and yanks his head toward the needle with the other.
No!
Sal swivels his head toward Sharon just in time to see her plunge the switchblade into his neck. She jumps back, stunned at her own act, knife still in her hand, as blood spurts from the wound and Sal keels over onto his back. Then, filled with rage, Sharon drops to her knees and stabs him over and over, blood splattering on her and her underwear. When she stops, obviously exhausted, Sharon sobs and crawls over to Dennis, who's still on the floor, staring at her in shock. When she gets to him, she wipes the blood-soaked switchblade on the New York Giants sweatshirt, slides the blade back into its handle, and puts it back in her purse.
Nobody needs to know about this, right?
Dennis nods, totally numb, as Sharon removes her blood-soaked bra and panties. Interior, John's office, day, present. With crazed eyes, Dennis sits across from John, seated again. Sweat has permeated right through John's button-down dress shirt.
Right then and there, she promised me I could have her any time I wanted, as long as I kept Sal's death a secret.
So you've been sleeping with her?
She
She had sex with me right then and there. I was in shock and I didn't really want to, but once I had her, I couldn't do without her.
Interior motel room night. Flashback. Sharon gets up after having sex on the floor with Dennis. She picks up her underwear. Bathroom, moments later. Sharon flushes her bra and panties down the toilet, then steps into the shower. Interior, John's office, day, present. John, aghast, runs a hand through his hair.
Why did you come to me? Why did you tell me all this?
My conscience, it's caught up with me. That other doctor, Dr. Lackerby, he shouldn't be in jail for murder. But I thought I could let that go for a while. After all, I had heard through the grapevine that he tried to screw with you. I didn't like that. I thought there's someone who could use with a little punishment.
John exhales most of the air from his lungs.
Is there more?
Dennis hangs his head.
I didn't like being another flunky wrapped around the little finger of another man's wife.
You're forgiven, Dennis. Didn't she tell you we got divorced?
She did. Just the other day.
John can't take his eyes off Dennis.
Is that everything you wanted to share?
Dennis gravely looks up at John.
No. Sharon's been talking real bad about you. That you've taken up with a blonde?
Does that bother you?
No. You said you were happy. That means everything to me. But Sharon wants to get back at you. I just saw her before coming. She said she wants to kill the blonde. I think she's going out of her mind.
John leaps out of his chair and reaches for his phone.
Dennis, go home now and stay there.
Dennis hesitates.
Go!
You're gonna protect her, right?
Just go! Home! Stay there!
I'm sorry. She had me wrapped around her fingers so tight.